Now, let me just start a poll. Do you own the iPhone Air? Yes and no. So that will be part of the question for today. And we should be good. Let me just fix these headphones. I am a big fan of, Apple's wired headphones, but wired headphones in general. I'm just a very big fan of them. There's a few reasons, which I can get into, but the purpose of this live stream is talking about overheating issues on the iPhone Air. I've seen a lot of people say that the iPhone Air overheats, and I'm just here to say I have not experienced any of that. I still own the iPhone Air. I am waiting on my iPhone 17 Pro to come in through Verizon. It was back ordered, but the reason I'm getting that, I've said in multiple other videos, but it's because I need that extra camera as a content creator. But back to my point, I've not experienced the iPhone Air overheating at all while I've owned it. I don't really know where that narrative or like where people are experiencing that. I genuinely have used this phone. I've recorded in 4K. I'm live streaming, done a lot of different things, had a lot of different apps open. I've never experienced overheating on this device, so I'm not really sure where that comes from. Um, but I guess it happens, so I'm not really sure, but whatever. Um, but yeah, it's kind of odd. I'm not like a lot of the time when new phones come out, especially new phones that are different, people get very like either supportive or very they become anti the phone. And the iPhone Air to me has not had any problems whatsoever. And I just like how in the beginning people were downplaying the iPhone Air like it was the worst phone that was ever created. And it has really shown to be a great device for a lot of people. And just the design and the strength of it and the durability has proven to be very, very good. So, yeah, I've not experienced any overheating whatsoever with the iPhone Air, so a little confusing, but hey, I guess people have had that happen. So the other thing I wanted to talk about in this live stream, besides that, is the iPhone Air a good device compared to other devices, not even with Apple, but just in the year of 2025? I've thought about this while owning the iPhone Air for over a week now. I think it's been a week and a half, close to 2 weeks. I think the iPhone Air is genuinely a very good device. I think it's incredibly fast. I've not had any issues with it not being fast. I think it's ultra slim, which is a really great selling point for a lot of people, because a lot of people don't want to carry around a massive phone with a gigantic battery, which I think is a really fair point. And I also think a lot of people don't need features that every other phone has, and some people just need like a minimalistic kind of thing. Hello, Gunisha. Thank you for stopping by. So that's kind of like what I think about it. Now, if you do compare the iPhone Air to some other phones that are out there, you obviously can say the iPhone Air is not going to have the best battery. It's not going to have, I guess, the best specs, but the A19 Pro is really fast. It is missing one core, but I don't really know what that means because what is really the big difference between one core in it? I don't know. At least that's kind of my take on it. But yeah, I haven't. I really like this phone, and it's unfortunate that I'm going to the 17 Pro because I need that extra camera. And if the Air did have that extra camera, I think I really would keep it, but I can't because as a content creator, I do need it. But it's a really, really awesome phone. I love the titanium. People are like saying the phone overheats. I've not experienced that, and I'd be very honest if my phone was overheating, it's not. So yeah, just whenever you're buying devices, it's hard to come up with a conclusion on which device you're gonna get without actually experiencing the phone like beforehand. So I always recommend to people before you go and buy a device, whether it's a phone, a laptop, something, try to go to a store and try it out first because there's been loads of times where I go to a store and I think that's the device that I want, and then I try it and I'm like, oh wait, that's actually not what I thought it was. So just be very careful. It's all about being a smart consumer and just making good decisions whenever you buy stuff. So yeah. So the question is, or the comment, I have the 16 one, and to be honest, the 15 was far better than the 16 Air. Now high hopes from 17. I don't think there was a 16 Air, but yeah, interesting. I had the 15 Pro Max. That was my phone prior to the iPhone Air, and it was a it was a fast phone. It was a really heavy phone, which is part of the reason why I wanted to go to the iPhone Air. Um, so that was part of my reasoning, but I am waiting on my 17 Pro to come in because I need the extra camera as a content creator. My phone was $100. What phone do you have, or what phone is that? Is that a flip phone? I can't remember the last time a phone has been $100. So if I had to guess, it must be a flip phone, possibly on a prepaid line. I'm not too sure. I use an iPhone 12 Pro Max, and I see no need for a new phone. Thank you, Nokia 8. Shout out to Nokia. But yes, that's a very valid point. A lot of people like sometimes when people buy devices, the whole point is how long will the device last you until it no longer works? And then some people always want the newest thing, which is the typical consumer if you think about it. But a question with the iPhone Air is, if you bought it, would this phone last you, I don't know, 7 years from now? So it's always a question, but that's awesome. You still have the 12 Pro Max. Motorola, yeah, Motorola, hey, they've been around for a very long time. I actually used Motorola walkie-talkies for a long period, and it was a really good device, but I haven't really used any Motorola devices, quite some time. I did have a Samsung S24 Ultra. There was a period where I owned that, and there was a whole issue with T-Mobile, which is a completely different story. But yeah, I miss Androids. Like, I really liked my experience with Androids. The problem is that because Apple is so um, restrictive when it comes to their ecosystem, it kind of stinks when your other family members have iPhones, then you don't. So yeah, it was kind of a problem. It doesn't matter if I take my phone at 12 Pro Max or 16 Pro Max and post on Instagram. Yeah, Frosty. Hey man, what's going on? Thank you, Frosty, for stopping by. Hope all is well. I'm doing good. Just doing a live stream. Talking about the iPhone Air and devices in general. But yeah, I think the phones this year were definitely a big upgrade from what I had previously. Um, but yeah, I mean, there's so many good devices out there. I just saw that OnePlus released a new device. Um, I also think that Apple within the next year or so is going to release a foldable. I think that's what it's going to mean. Being handsome doesn't mean you have the brains. Okay. Greetings from Turkey. Hello, greetings. Where are you from? I'm from the United States of America. So far, this says, do you own iPhone? So, majority of you do not own it. Many apps you can use on both phones. iPhone are like 5 years behind Android. Yeah, so when I own Android, there was what I realized is in terms of customization, Android by far is better than Apple because there is so much more that you can customize not only with your phone but just in general. Whether that's like downloading games, multitasking, it's a very different experience on an Android compared to Apple. And unless you've owned an Android device, then you wouldn't understand. But it's very fun. I actually owned a foldable Android. It was the Z Fold 5, I think it was. And that was a really unique device. It was very different from anything that I had ever owned before. I love the concept of like opening your phone and you have this really large screen. But the problem with it is, again, all my family members have an iPhone. Like every single family member has an iPhone. My girlfriend, she has an iPhone. Her family has an iPhone. When I meet people, they have iPhones. So it's kind of like, geez, what do I really do? Because yes, you can still text and do things, but I'm just telling you, like, That's an issue. And another reason I love my Apple Watch, I think it's the best watch, like tech watch out there. I know there's other watches, but I think the Apple Watch is by far the best when it comes to like fitness and notification notifications and things like that. Skin Android, dude, it's not that complex. I'm an engineer at 7-Eleven company. Very nice. Facts. Thank you, Pat. My work gave me an iPhone and used it twice. I wanted to throw it out the garbage. My mother still uses the iPhone 5S. That is crazy. Did I ever own? I don't know if I ever owned the iPhone 5. I don't remember. I remember when the iPhone 4 came out, and that was a crazy phone. Like, people were going wild about that. Um, yeah, I'll be honest, I like iPhones. I really do, and I like Android devices, but for me, it's like I've run into too many scenarios where the iPhone has proven to be better for my situation. But Androids are really just, they're solid devices all around. Whenever people say Androids are bad, they clearly have never used an Android. They're great, great devices, especially the whole like Samsung Ultra line. Those are really solid devices. Wait, don't you work with Mr. No, I'm not saying that. Nice try. I totally despise iPhone. A lot of people do. I used to iPhones when I worked at DHL till they found out and fired me. Used to do that. Wow, that's definitely not good to steal if that's a true story. I mean, wait, that's not good. But yeah, the iPhone I think is a great device, but again, you're limited to what you can really do on a phone compared to other devices. And then I was watching a video the other day, and people were reviewing a phone. Like, I didn't realize how many phones like how many Chinese companies create phones, and how they're kind of limited in the United States. Like, there are some really cool devices out there. Some that have some of the best cameras I've ever seen on a phone. Some have an insane battery that will just last you multiple days without charging. So there's a lot of different devices out there. What's the best phone you've ever used? For you is the iPhone 4S. This is a good question. I just have to readjust because it's hurting my neck. Okay. Best phone that I've ever used. Best phone that I've ever used. I think, this is interesting. Best phone that I've ever used. Man, I think one of my favorite devices that I've ever owned was the S24 Ultra. I thought that was like such a cool device. I do like styluses, so I thought that was really fun to experience that. I just loved the form factor. It was a large phone, but it was still like thin enough. Very, very fast. Took great photos. Just an all around like solid device. So yeah, I actually really liked the S24 Ultra. I thought that was an awesome device. So that may be up there. The 15 Pro Max was good. It wasn't my favorite. I mean, it was an okay device, but definitely not my favorite Apple phone I've ever owned. But let's read some of this. So, okay, I got my hands on Xiaomi's and Samsung's, but I still think iPhones are still the best. S24 Ultra looks like a brick. I mostly use Samsung's, but the best. I use a Huawei. Yeah, I've never used Huawei before. Didn't get one again when they warned the Chinese for spying. Yeah, that's part of the problem with some of those overseas devices. You don't know if there is any spying. Now, back to spying, I want to talk about why I like wired headphones compared to Bluetooth earbuds. And there's probably two, maybe three reasons, and I'll go through each one. Number one is privacy and security. It is much easier for someone to listen in on a conversation if you have a Bluetooth device because they can connect to it. So having a wired earbud that's like directly connected to your phone is a lot safer. So I prefer that. Number two, I love the feeling of having this actual button that I can click on for the microphone, click the volume up and down. But I just like that feeling. And then I would probably say lastly is like the feel of having wired headphones. that's what I grew up having. I mean, I remember being in middle school, high school, having wired earbuds. I just like the feeling. I don't know. I prefer them. They feel better, more comfortable. I also like these kind of style of earbuds compared to the foam because those are just they never fit in my ear. So these ones are definitely my preferred ones for sure. So that's kind of the reason why I prefer wired headphones. So let's see. Where are you from? Where are you from? Where are you from? I'm from the United States. That's where I'm from. From the United States of America. But yeah, so back to iPhone. The iPhone 17. I went to the Apple store yesterday, and I wanted to go see what the iPhones were like. All of them. I wanted to see what the 17 Pro Max was like. I wanted to see what the Pro was like. I already have the iPhone Air. That's what I'm recording from. I am waiting on the 17 Pro to come in, and then I wanted to try the 17. I think the 17, to me, I didn't really like the feel of it. I'll be honest. I think it's a great iPhone, tons of value, great price. I just didn't like the feel of it. Something about holding the iPhone 17 to me, it just, I don't know. I didn't like the feeling. It's a great phone, just didn't really like it. Love from India, thank you so much. I miss earphone jacks, lost too many earbuds. Yeah, yeah. I also like, I don't know, to me, these just feel more comfortable. The problem, again, with them is sometimes they get all raveled up, but I feel like it's kind of a part of it. But I just enjoy it. I enjoy having wired headphones. I don't know, to me, it's just, maybe it's nostalgia, but I just like the feeling of them, and they're definitely my preferred type of headphone compared to other ones. So if they made like a really solid wired headphone from Apple, I would be all about it. But yeah, does it feel better having the iPhone Air chip at the top of the iPhone instead of the center like other iPhones when the chip gets hot? This is a great question. So thank you for stopping by. I appreciate it, and I'll answer. So I think I prefer having the chip on the top because if you think about how you hold an iPhone or any phone, you're not really holding the top of the device. So in a way, you're not feeling more heat than what you normally would. But I think the problem with that is because the iPhone Air is so thin, you're missing some kind of like features like an extra camera, extra speaker. But I haven't had any overheating issues, so it hasn't really been a problem for me. But I guess that's what other people say. Stop repeating, he says. Samsung Galaxy S25 Ultra versus iPhone 17 Pro Max, which is better? I would personally have to go with the S25 Ultra, in my opinion. I think that is a better device than the 17 Pro Max. Um, just, I think the Ultra, in terms of like a premium kind of like bigger phone, I think the 25 Ultra is better. But I think like the Pro, the Air, the 17, those are all really good phones. But that would be my preference. Thanks for answering. Really enjoying my iPhone Air so far. Yeah, I enjoyed as well. Like it's super light. It's a really just really light phone. I'm switching to the iPhone 17 Pro because the pure fact that I just need the extra camera on the back. But everything's been great so far. I haven't had any issues. And also, if you guys could subscribe, I'd really appreciate it. I'm trying to hit 1,000 subscribers. It's all I need until I can start running ads on my videos and making some money off these videos. So I'd appreciate if you guys could subscribe. It would mean a lot. And if you could also like the live stream, that also goes a long way as well. So thank you to every single one of you. I appreciate it. So yeah, that's kind of like where I'm at currently. But all the devices that I use are primarily all Apple. I don't really have any like Android devices to my name. Because again, it's the whole ecosystem with Apple. Like once you own a device, they want you to own the next device, then they want you to own the device after that. So it's kind of just how it goes and things of that sort. So yeah. But the iPhone Air, the best features about the iPhone Air, if I was trying to sell this phone to someone, this is what I would say. The iPhone Air is an incredibly thin phone. It's very fast. You forget about it when it's in your pocket. It's very fun to look at. It's great to hold. You like love the form factor. It's just a really pretty phone. Feels luxurious. but it is not going to give you. You're not going to have the same exact things that you're going to have in the Pro and Pro Max compared to the Air. But it's again, it's about what you want in a phone. I keep saying this in my videos, especially the long form videos, is like, what are you looking for in a device at the end of the day? Because it's very different for a lot of people. I had someone who came into my video and they said that they do trucking, so they drive trucks all day, and they were like, the iPhone Air is not for me because I do trucking. And I said, I think that's a very valid point. If you drive trucks all day, should the iPhone Air be a device for you? I don't think so. I would imagine something like the 17 Pro Max would be a better choice for them. It's a bigger screen and, bigger battery, things of that sort. But then someone comes into my video and they're like an older person who has arthritis, and should they own an iPhone Air? Yeah, because it's a lighter phone. It's probably easier. So it really all depends on what you're looking for. But a lot of the time, people love to compare devices and be like, this one's better than this, and this spec is better than this spec, and then they do these tests, and it's like you wouldn't even notice the difference in speed. So it's always just odd. But yeah, so that's pretty much it. If you could not spam, I'd appreciate it, just because when other people ask questions, so just don't spam, please. I'd appreciate that. But it looks like a lot of people do not own the iPhone Air. I'd imagine this year the phone that sold the most would probably be the 17, and then I would guess the 17 Pro, then I'd guess the Air, then the Pro Max, or it would be the 17, the iPhone Air, 17 Pro, and Pro. I think the Pro Max was the least sold this year. It's my guess, but maybe I could be wrong. How do you feel about iPhone gaming? I don't really game on my phone, to be honest with you. I kind of stopped gaming even as a whole probably a few years ago. I just kind of lost that like desire to play games, especially on console and my phone. So I don't really game too much, but I do think that iPhones are better for it's I don't know. It depends. iPhones have a great arcade of games, but I do think Android, there's a lot more that you could, I guess, do with an Android when it comes to games. So if you wanted to download a ROM to play games on an Android, you have a lot more options because you could download like PS2 games, GameCube games. So there's a lot of customization with that. But yeah, I'm not a huge gamer when it comes to iPhones personally, but or just phones in general. But I think gaming is cool. Again, I what I mainly use my iPhone for is YouTube, editing videos, recording videos, taking pictures, um, using social media, responding to people. I don't email a ton, so that's not really something that I do. And then I'll just use some other apps. So I'm not a huge gamer. So yeah, not a huge gamer. Lucky you think you were stopping by. I don't have an iPhone. I use my laptop to check email and WhatsApp. Yeah, a lot of people use their laptop. So a year or two ago, I found a deal online, and it was for a MacBook, and it was for an M3. I think this was the M3 MacBook, and it's been really, really good. I think personally, when it comes to video editing and just laptops, I think that Apple makes the best laptops in terms of PC. A lot of other companies with better ones, but that is something that I've noticed with iPhones compared to Android. I think iPhones definitely have better video. They record way better with videos, and I think the video editing is way better when it comes to iPhones compared to Android. That's something that I would firmly stand on. I think Apple has just nailed video recording. There was several times when I had my S24 Ultra where I would record a video and it just felt really saturated. It felt way too sharp. But I think with phones, Androids can take really good photos. But I think something about videos, the iPhone just does a lot better. So how many votes do we have? We have 10 votes. So five people are saying they do have the iPhone Air. five people saying that they do not, which is quite interesting. So, yeah, that's pretty cool. But yeah, I like Apple devices. I think I'll continue to use Apple devices. I don't know when I would stop, unless there was like a revolutionary Android device that I was like, oh my gosh. Or if they finally fixed like FaceTime, and if you could use an Apple Watch with your Android device, like with full functionality, then I would do it. But yeah, have you seen the new 28 Years Later movie? That movie was filmed on the iPhone 15 or 16. Is that really true? No way. That's fully true that the movie was filmed on an iPhone? I believe it, to be quite honest. Especially with the new devices, they have the whole ProRes, so it's a lot more film creator friendly because you can customize your videos a lot more. I will check it out. That's crazy. I've never heard of that before, and I don't know if I've actually ever seen that video. So let me or movie. But what is it about? Is that movie like about zombies and things? I'm trying to remember what that movie's about. Let me see here as I open up my laptop. But I have not. I've not seen that. So 28 years later, shot on iPhone. Let's see here. Yes. So it says parts of it were shot on iPhone, specifically the 15 Pro and Pro Max models, as part of a deliberate choice to evoke the gritty, accessible aesthetic that they were looking for. So yes, there was a large portion of the film used the iPhone, which is really interesting. But it looks like they attached a lens to it. They attached this massive lens to the device, which is crazy. And then there's a shot where they just used a ton of iPhones. So let me just show this to you. I'll flip this over really quick. Um, Apparently they used like tons of iPhones to do it. So that's pretty interesting. So this was for the movie. So yeah, but I guess they used some crazy lens on here. It's wild. Look at that. They used that crazy, crazy lens to record that movie, which is wild. Where are you from? From the United States. That setup was crazy. Yeah, it is crazy. Just compared to my $200 phone, Samsung A34, the specs I'm interested in are the same as the Air. A34 has a great battery, 5,000 milliamp. Yeah, it's a good sized battery, 5,000 milliamp. I think there's a new phone that has an even higher. Uh, Let me see. So there is a phone. I will tell you because I saw this. There. Okay. Wait, but that is that really a phone though? Best phone battery in 2025, the Asus ROG Phone 9 Pro. And that the battery life per hour, is this what it 20 hour? No. Maybe I'm reading this wrong, but apparently the Asus ROG 9 Pro has the best battery out of any phone. So let's see. Milliamp maxes out at 5,600 milliamp battery on that device. iPhone with 10,000 lens. Which is the price of the 17 Pro in the US? I think it's they definitely raised the prices. Well, let me see. So for the base model of the Pro, if you were to just go with the 256 gigabyte, let me see here. If we go to Apple, we go to iPhone. Let's see here. I'll flip the screen over so you can see. So the iPhone Air 17, 17 Pro starts at $1,099, or if you financed it, $45 a month, pretty much 46 for 24 months. I think the orange is so gross. I went with the silver. Um, I went the silver. I think the orange is gross. I'm not really a big fan of the blue, but yeah, it's funny how they like try to promote everything on here, but I'm just not a fan of the orange. I think it does not look good at all. I feel like the silver is just a way better look. to be honest with you. But yeah, there's some good low budget phones that comes with good specs. How many milliamps? Yeah, 5,600. That's what it said when I looked it up. But yeah, the aluminum felt better than what I thought it would on the Pro. I didn't think it would be as good, but I actually liked it. The vapor chamber, I don't really understand how it fully. I know like what it does, but I'm curious what it looks like on the inside. But they have the new ceramic shield, stuff like that. But then a lot of these features are already like there's a lot of Android devices that already have these features. So yeah, I missed the 2010 era too. Yeah, everything was cheaper before, but yeah, everything was a lot cheaper back then. Everything was a lot cheaper. So kind of unfortunate. But yeah, U.S. is my dream country. One day I will come to the U.S. Hey, um, yes, the USA. It's a pretty crazy country right now. A lot of stuff going on. But yeah, and also, do you guys like iPads? This is something I was when I went to the Apple store yesterday. They had all these iPads out, and I was just like, why would you use an iPad if you have a laptop? You know, like I'm trying to understand use why would you use a an iPad instead of a laptop? Because to me, there's a lot that a laptop does that an iPhone can't. I think typing obviously is way faster on a laptop. Um, you have a bigger display, obviously. So I'm not really sure. iPad is a useless device. I wouldn't say it's useless, but I definitely don't think it's that good compared to a laptop. I just don't really get it. Why would you do that? Because what they're also doing now is for an iPad, a um, you can get a keyboard, like a magnetic keyboard. They call it, what is it, the Magic? Yeah, Magic keyboard. So it doesn't really make sense. It's like you're selling a device that you're then trying to make into a laptop. So to me, it doesn't really make any sense. The iPhone is overrated. In what way? How would you say? You know, it's an overrated device. The Vision Pro. That is a very overrated device. What is it like three? It's like $3,000, something of that sort. Ridiculous. Definitely not worth it at all. I will never understand people who went out of their way to purchase the Vision Pro. I got my first phone for $20 in 2010. It was a Samsung phone, but someone stole it the year later. I'm sorry to hear about that. Bro, did you hear about what just happened to? Okay, nice try. I bought a used tablet for movies on short flights and train journeys and still use my phone. People buy it off habit, like nobody in States would go for anything else except a phone. I see, I see. But yeah, the Vision Pro, I don't really get it. I don't really understand the Vision Pro. Like, why would you want to spend $3,000? Um, just doesn't really make sense to me. I think the thought of it, and I think like some of the things they could do would be really cool, but it just doesn't make sense. I know Casey Neistat just made a video talking about it, and it's like you carrying this thing around in public just doesn't make a ton of sense. So yeah, Samsung is best or iPhone. I think iPhones overall are better overall. Vision Pro would improve. Yeah, it's just too expensive. What does it go for right now? Oh my gosh, a 256 gigabyte is $3,499. That is crazy. What? That is crazy, dude. A 256 gigabyte Apple Vision Pro is $3,499. What? Why would you do that? That's crazy. Oscar, thank you for stopping by. My cousin waited 8 hours in line to get an iPhone 17. I would never do that. Lucky I had my first two phones stolen. I'm old enough to have an actual brick passed down. He came home all dehydrated and sick. Vision Pro has no mass use because when it gets adapted by everyone, its price would go down. Yeah, that's a pretty valid point, to be honest. Just doesn't make sense. Doesn't I and I think the Meta glasses do a better job than the Vision Pro. Like I think Meta Ray-Bans are a better device than the Vision Pro, in my opinion. Vision Pro was like 800 to 1,000. It would be great and more people would buy it and more developers would make apps for it. Yes, I agree. Yeah, I 100% agree. But anyways, I do have to wrap up this live stream. I do have to go. Thank you for everyone who stopped by. If you guys could subscribe, I'd really appreciate it. If you could drop a like on the live stream, I'd appreciate it. Thanks everyone who made comments in here. Appreciate every single one of you. But thanks everyone for the support. And again, if you could subscribe, I'm so close. I need 1,000 subscribers to start getting ads on my videos, and then I can get paid. And yeah, so. Thanks, everyone. Have a great day, and I'll see you in a future video. So, peace out. Goodbye.